Watcher, Davey here. Your friendly Cockney voice of reason before Dougie starts telling you how to tap out Morse code using a xylophone. Quick health and safety for the thickos. Number 1, if you're using your neighbour's Wi-Fi without asking, that's not grid-down comms, that's theft. Number 2, if you think a tinfoil hat improves radio reception, it doesn't. It just makes your next month's fact news. Number 3, nothing Dougie says should be attempted without adult supervision, a license, or a mate who's willing to lie to the police. This week's episode is proudly sponsored by Gary's Gherkin Museum, the UK's only pickled phallus experience, open 24 hours a day. Nothing to do with radios, nothing to do with prepping, more the fact that Gary's got 20 quid spare and wants the world to know he's got a 9-inch dill in a jar. Congratulations, mate. You're a cultural treasure. Right, before we land ourselves in a pickle, let's crack on. Batteries, beeps, and why you should never give your nan a megaphone at a protest.
Welcome to Proper Prepper FM, broadcasting live from the middle of nowhere with nothing but a whiskey, a dodgy microphone, and far too much free time. This is the show where sarcasm is currency, duct tape is gold, and your host is, well, Dougie. So get comfy and lower your expectations, because here comes another half hour of whatever this is supposed to be.
Thank you, Davey, my lad. And welcome back to Proper Prepper FM, where the only thing weaker than my signal is my faith in humanity's ability to change batteries. Today's apocalypse delight, communications. Because when the grid's down, your fancy smartphone's just a shiny brick you'll end up using to wedge open a shed door. We're talking walkie-talkies, old-school CB radios, whistling, and not bloody smoke signals. You'll just get the fire brigade, and why waving at satellites is about as useful as shouting into a fridge. When in the SHTF, talking to each other can be the difference between a rescue party and a search party finding what's left of you at the bottom of a cliff. Now, I've seen some wild stuff over the years. One bloke in Kent built a survival comms network by hiding baby monitors in hedges. Problem is, all he got was 3 hours of sheep bleating, which is only good for the Archer's opening theme. Now, pull up a sandbag. Back in 2018, I joined a local prepping group who swore by CB radios. Every Friday night, they'd get on Channel 19 and talk like they were wearing lumberjack shirts in a lorry convoy to Dover. One lad, call sign Bunker Boy, broadcast weather reports, which was fine until we realized he was just describing whatever was happening outside his own window. Then there was Silent Susan, who'd only key the mic and breathe heavily. Still not sure if she was being creepy or just forgot how to talk. But at the time, I enjoyed it. Always handy to know a woman who knows when to open her mouth. Point is, you need to practice your comms. Equipment is only half the battle. Knowing what to say, when and how, that's what keeps your group alive. Right then, before we move on, let's hear from our sponsor. That's Lee at the Bug Out in the heart of Wales.
When the unexpected happens, will you be ready? At the Bug Out shop, we've got everything you need to prepare for emergencies, adventures, and the unknown. From survival gear and water purification to bug out bags and tools, trusted kit for real preparedness. Don't wait for the crisis to come to you. Get to thebugout.co.uk today and get prepared. Your survival starts here, and you can use promo code PPFM01 for a 10% discount on your next purchase.
Welcome back. Let's get on to tell you Dougie's comms tips. Don't die quietly. Know your gear. Don't buy a walkie-talkie the size of a fridge if you can't lift it without swearing. Backup power. Batteries, hand cranks, solar chargers. Without power, you're just holding plastic sadness. Have a code. Blue Hedgehog could mean meet at the shed. Or Kev's had another stroke. Whatever works for your group. Range is a liar. If the box says 10 miles, Expect about 2, once you're surrounded by buildings, trees, etc. Listen before talking, otherwise you're just stomping over someone else's message and making enemies. Mini tip, don't test your radio at 3 a.m. unless you want to hear language that would get you banned from church. Right then, what we got next? Oh yes, our on-location report with our roving reporter Felicity Felicio.
Hello.
Hello Felicity, can you hear me over?
Hello, Dougie. Yes, I can just about hear you. Felicity Felicio here, live-ish from just outside the town's Emergency Operations Centre, where the river's been overtaking its banks all day. It's definitely not a day for wearing flip-flops, I can tell you. And thank goodness I've come prepared in my high heels. At least it keeps my delicate ankles out of the water. We've had 3 days of steady downpour, river levels rising, and local councils issuing flood alerts for surface water and river flooding. I've just spoken with Fergus up in Dundee, who reports rising water levels in the River Tay floodplain, and he's linked into a call-in with Bobby down Lincolnshire, comparing notes on sandbag stock, road closures, and local response teams.
Hello, Felicity Felicio. You're looking so spanking.
Oh my gosh, that's outrageous! A man with no clothes on just floated by in a little boat and waved. And in this weather. Dougie, it appears as though I've now got a fan club. I'm so sorry about that, Dougie. So back to the weather. There's a clear message here. When the weather turns and the waters rise, the real test isn't just if you have enough sandbags. It's whether you can reach each other, share info, and coordinate locally. Well done to the man in the little boat. Weather-wise, forecasters say more rain on the way, so if you're sat thinking, I'll deal with it later, this is later. Check your drainage, check your power supplies, check in with your neighbours. That's the day's weather report. Now time to get out of this rain before my fur coat gets too wet. Back to you in the studio, Dougie. I'm just off to see if the council's tea truck has made it through the floodwater yet. And try catch up with that naked man in his little boat. Cheerio for now.
Cheers, Felicity. Nothing like a bit of wet-foot journalism to prove a point. And could you tell if the little man was cold? She's spot on, though. When the big shiny towers go quiet, it's the local nets that keep people connected. The CB crews, the ham operators, the prepper channels. That's why you test your gear, label your frequencies, and know who's within range before the water's up to your waist. And remember, comms aren't just for calling for help. They're how your group stays organized, sane, and sometimes entertained. Good radio and CB kit for the price. That's what we're all after. If you're looking for solid UK-based info, check out a couple of our favorites on YouTube. UKFM CB radio servicing Tango 21, proper hands-on stuff, repairs, tuning, and tips for keeping your set alive longer than your batteries. And CB Radio UK with Fred in the Shed, friendly, funny, and full of good advice on kit, setups, and making your first contact without sounding like you're calling NASA. Pop over there, subscribe, and say hi from us here at Proper Prepper FM. We're hoping in the near future to link up with one or both of those fine folks for a few internal chats and honest kit reviews. So stay tuned, because we'll bring you the best of their insight right here on the show. Right, time to dry off and move on to our listeners' emails. Always a bloody joy to read them.
You've got an email, ding ding. You've got an email, ding ding. I said, you've got an email, ding ding.
Now, our listeners' emails or the static stupidity? Who's first on the list then? Let me see. Email 1, Janet51 from Hull. Can I use my Alexa to send messages in a power outage? Only if want one-way comms, as all you'll be doing is screaming into a dead plastic cylinder. Email 2, Craig28 from Edinburgh. I tied my walkie-talkie to a kite for extra range. Good idea? Only if you're well away from electrical pylons and they've not forecast thunder and lightning. Otherwise, you may become the world's stupidest lightning rod. Email 3, Belinda63 from Margate. Can carrier pigeons carry more than one note at a time? Yes, but not the Dead Sea Scrolls. Email 4, Darren32 from Wigan. My CB radio only picks up truckers swearing in Polish. Am I hacked? Colin. No, mate, you're just on the M6 frequency. Email 5, Aussie40 from Cardiff. Can I tap into a satellite feed with a sky dish and a blender motor? Colin. Not unless you want to make soup at orbital velocity. Again, it's always a pleasure to end this segment of the show. Now we have Dougie's wrap-up. So, Comms, the thing that keeps your team alive, and your nosy neighbor updated on the lottery numbers. Good to be in it to win it, so they say. Get the kit, learn the lingo, practice often, and for the love of all things analog, stop thinking a group WhatsApp counts as an emergency network. Looking forward, a little change coming over the next 2 weeks. We will be having a chat in the shed with Darren, Funky Prepper, where we will talk in winter preps. We hope you'll tune in for that. On next week's show, it's all about off-grid power, solar, wind, and not frying yourself in the process. Email ppfmbroadcast@gmail.com, all lowercase, or call 074974731113 with your green energy genius or off-grid horror stories. So till next week then, Slarnjavar.
Well, ladies and gents, that's all the nonsense we can squeeze into one episode. You've been listening to Proper Prepper FM. Equal parts comedy, tragedy, and something in between. If you've got nothing better to do next week, and let's be honest, you probably haven't, then tune in again for more sarcasm and silliness. Until then, take care, stay strange, and thanks for pretending this was worth your time.
And there you go. Another week, another episode of Dougie telling you to buy kit you'll never use till the end of days. Or the next power cut. Let's get on with the PPFM's rule of 3. 1. Like, if you enjoyed the broadcast. 2. Share, but only your sarcastic wit. 3. Subscribe and tell your mother-in-law. Or don't. She's probably still on the party line. See you next week when we find out how many volts it takes to make Dougie's hair stand up without hairspray. Think about it. If the grid went down, how would you shout for help? Walkie-talkie, whistle or trained parrot? Leave it in the comments. See you laters.